जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रजजनरंजन यशोदनंदन व्रजजनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारि यमुना तीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रजजनरंजन यशोदनंदन व्रजजनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारि यमुना तीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parvikacharya Ashtacharsha Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parvikacharya Ashtacharsha Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se Kho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopana Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Yurdayet Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatottama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we'll be reading from 7th Canto, Chapter 2, Text 56. Evam Kulingam Vilapantam Arat Priya Viyogaturam Ashrukantam Sa Eva Tam Shakunika Sharena Vivyada Kala Prahito Vilinaha Evam Kulingam Vilapantamarat Priya Viyogaturam Ashrukantam Saevatam Shakunika Sharena Vivyadakala Prahito Vilena Evam Kulingam Vilapantamarat Priya Viyogaturam Ashrukantam Saevatam Shakunika Sharena Vivyadakala Prahito Vilena Evam Kulangam Vilapantamarat Priya Viyogatarum Ashrukantam Sevatam Shakunika Sharena Vivyadakala Prahito Vilena Sevatam Sakunika Sharena Vivyadakala Prahito Vilena Evam Kulingam Vilapantam Arat Evam Kulingam Vilapantam Arat Priya Viyogaturam Ashrukantam Priya Viyogaturam Ashrukantam Sahevatam Shakunika Sharena Sahevatam Shakunika Sharena Vivyadakala Prahito Vilena Vivyadakala Prahito Vilena Evam Kulingam
Vilapantamara Priya Viyogatarmasrukantam Saivatam Sakunika Sarena Vidyadajala Prahito Vidina Evam Kulingam Vilapantamara Priya Viyogatarmasrukantam Sevatam Shakunika Sharena Vyadakala Prahito Vilina
Evam Kulingam Vilipantamarat Priya Yoga Turam Ashrukantam Saevatam Shakunika Sharena Vivyadakala Prahito Vilina
Mataji.
Evam Kulingam Vilapantamara Priya Viyogatarmasrukantam Saevatam Shakunika Sharena Vidyadakala Prahito Vilina
Synonyms. Evam, thus. Kulingam, the bird. Vilapantam, while lamenting. Arat, from a distance. Priya Viyoga, because of the loss of his wife. Aturam, very aggrieved. Ashrukantam, with tears in the eyes. Saha, he, that hunter. Eva, indeed. Tam, him, the male bird. Shakunikaha, who could kill even a vulture. Sharena, by an arrow. Vivyada, pierced. Kala prahitaha, being moved by time. Vilena, hidden. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because of the loss of his wife, the Kulinga bird lamented with tears in his eyes. Meanwhile, following the dictations of mature time, the hunter, who was very carefully hidden in the distance, released his arrow, which pierced the body of the Kulinga bird and killed him. We'll go to the next one. Text 57. Translation. Thus Yamarāja, in the guise of a small boy, told all the queens, "You are all so foolish that you lament, but do not see your own death. Afflicted by a poor fund of knowledge, you do not know that even if you lament for your dead husband for hundreds of years, you will never get him back alive. And in the meantime, your lives will be finished." Purport. Yamarāja once asked Maharaja Yudhishthira, "What is the most wonderful thing within this world?" Maharaja Yudhishthira replied from the Mahabharata Parva 313.116. Ahanya hanti bhutani gachantiha yamalayam sheshastavaram ischanti kim ascharyam ata param. Hundreds and thousands of living entities meet death at every moment, but a foolish living being nonetheless thinks himself deathless and does not prepare for death. This is the most wonderful thing in this world. Everyone has to die because everyone is fully under the control of material nature. Yet everyone thinks that he is independent, that whatever he likes he can do, that he will never meet death but live forever, and so on. So-called scientists are making various plans by which living entities in the future can live forever. But while they are thus pursuing such scientific knowledge, Yamarāja, in due course of time, will take them away from their business of so-called research. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaparakumalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Laguna Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sita Devi Pranamami Hare Vanchakalpatriyubhyascha Kripa Sandibhyevacha Patithanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. When Maharaj Yudhishthira was answered, or when he answered Yamarāja this, it made me think of another quote by William Saroyan. And he said, everyone has to die, but I always believed an exception would be made in my case. So everyone is thinking in this way. So this bird, he was lamenting because his wife was captured by this hunter. And then he started thinking about his children. How will they live on without their mother? And while absorbing these thoughts, the hunter, from afar, hidden, he shot his arrow and he pierced the body of this bird. And he was killed. And in the Krishna book, when King Kamsa, when he was sending the different demons to look for Krishna, he was aiming for children. And in the purports, or in the book, it says that generally for householders, the children are the life and breath force. When all the children die, then naturally the parents also die on account of strong affection for them. So there's a very instructive sentence, because people, they put so much time into their children. They raise them, they invest a lot of money in them, and sometimes the child deviates. And even sometimes those that are fortunate to be raised Krishna consciousness, sometimes they also deviate from this glorious path. So we want to live eternally in bliss and knowledge. When we accepted a material body, we agreed to the terms and conditions of this material world. And those conditions are birth, disease, old age, and death. I remember I was distributing books, and there was this elder couple. And I said, "Excuse me, sir, can I ask you a question?" And they said, "You got to be quick about it. We got to go." So I said, "Why are you in such a hurry?" They said, "We got to go watch this play." And I said, "But shouldn't you be thinking about the future?" And I said, "What future?" And I said, when that day comes, it's called death. And I said, "We don't think about that." So the purport, it talks about how people are ignoring this reality, that death will come any minute. And then this verse explains how sometimes we get caught up in our everyday busy schedule. We're too busy for work, we're busy engaged in school, and we're raising families. We don't discount that. But if one makes this the all in all, then he forgets that there's other important things. In Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he describes that one who has taken birth is sure to die. And after death, one is sure to take birth again. So we can't forget or neglect this fact. His Grace Navina Nirad Prabhu, he came to San Diego and he was giving a book distribution seminar. He was here in the patio. And the first thing he said is that to attract people to the table, you have to ask questions. And then he made this analogy of a question mark. What does that look like? A hook. So you ask people questions. And questions are a sign of intelligence. And I was asking people a few days ago. I said, "Excuse me, are you surviving or are you living?" And these people, they were hesitant, but they said, we're just kind of going through our everyday life, living paycheck to paycheck. So I felt sorry for these people, and I offered them a book. And so with these books, you become free from stress and anxiety. And one boy, he said, "I would like to take these books, but I don't have any money." And I said, "I can offer you a small book, The Perfection of Yoga." And I told him that this book, it changed one of my friends' lives. And I told him after reading the small book, he became a monk, and has been a monk for 17 years now. So I told him these books, they're meant to inspire us to look for something higher than ourselves. And they happily took that small book. They went on their way. And a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, they came back. They gave $5. They said, "I'm sorry, this is all we have." So I appreciated that sentiment. So I gave them a choice. I said, "Would you like to take Easy Journey to Other Planets, or would you like to read about Beyond Birth and Death?" Now they were very thoughtful. They said, "I want to read about what comes after death." So they took Beyond Birth and Death. And so they asked me, "What is death?" And I quoted Dravida Prabhu. He said, "Death just means sleeping for 9 months." And I said, "What does that mean?" "Yeah, you said that in a class, in the Bhagavad Gita." Oh. So I was just quoting you. And they said, "What does that mean?" And I said, "Well, we understand karma and reincarnation." And then they were so fascinated more and more. So I gave them the book, Coming Back. And I said, "This book will explain everything." So they took these 3 books and they went on their way. And so sometimes we're so busy and busy and busy, we forget to ask very essential questions. Like, why am I living? I asked this one boy, I said, "Excuse me, what do you do for work?" I said, "I'm just going to school." I said, "What are you studying?" I said, "Business." So I said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Sure." I said, "Why do you wake up in the morning? What motivates you to get up?" And then he looked at me and said, "I don't know." He was honest. So I told him, "I have this special book for you. It's called The Science of Self-Realization." And I told him I read this book and it changed my life. And he said, how did it change your life?" And I was telling him that I was just like you. I'm just trying to search for purpose. And when I read this book, I found the purpose. So he appreciated that. And he asked me, "How much for this book?" I said, "You can give whatever you can. We just humbly ask for a donation." And he gave $20. I said, "That's very generous." I asked him, "Do you have friends that like to read?" He said, "Yeah." I gave him a stack. I said, "You can give one to someone who likes to cook. If you know someone who's going through some difficulties, you can give a book to them." So he went on his way. And so the reason why is because sometimes we're very busy in our everyday life. At the park, you see many people. They're walking back and forth, sometimes 8 times, And every time I tell them second chance, third chance, and they just smile, but they never take. So this reminds me of a story. There was once a king, and a king, they're very proud sometimes. So this king, he was diagnosed with some illness, and he didn't have that much time to live. And this king, he only had one friend, and it was a tailor. And this tailor, he personally made all the cloth for this king. So this only friend, he died one day. And his son, came to visit the king. And he noticed how the king was lamenting. So this boy said, "My father is in heaven now, and he's working and he's teaching people. Can you give him something because he also knows that the king is going to die." He said, "Can you give this needle to him?" And then he went out of the shop. And now the king, he was thinking, this needle, where should I put it? Should I put it in my clothes? Should I hold it in my hand? And then boom, he had this thought. When I leave this world, my clothes, they stay here. And my body also stays here. So this king, his mind was turned by this little boy. So it means that sometimes it's a nice reminder, the devotees, we remind people that there is more to life than just working and working and working. And so this king, he started engaging himself in good welfare work. And not only that, but he dedicated his life to a God-conscious lifestyle. He started giving in charity, started giving spiritual discourses. And then somehow or other, this king recovered. And then he continued living a pure life. So the devotees, we encourage people, even those that are not interested in our books, we try to give them a little sentence, a sutra, you know. Please take this book. I was distributing books yesterday, and there was this little girl. She was probably 5 years old. And she said, "Look, Mommy, all these books, I want all of them." And I asked the parents, "Does she like to read?" And they said, "Oh yeah, she likes to read." And I don't know how true that is, because 5 years old, can they read at that age? They can? Okay. She was very fired up about the books. She said, "Mom, I want this book, this book, this." She was really intelligent, actually. She was very smart. And then she picked up the Bhagavad Gita. And I said, "Do you like to read?" And she said, "I love to read." And then she was holding this Bhagavad Gita and she was looking at it. And I told her, "This is a very special book." And then her eyes opened up. And then she said, "I have to protect this book. I don't want to lose it." So she was holding it in her arms. And I told the parents, please encourage her to read. Because I told her that knowledge is power. And one day her friends and even your family, sometimes they will have questions. And she will be the guru of the family. So they smiled. And then, long story short, the little girl, she took the book and she ran to her grandma. She said, "Look, Grandma, I have a very special book. We should all read it together." And when the parents heard this, they smiled again. And they gave a very generous donation. And on top of that, I gave them several other books. The girl came back, says, "Mom, you have more books?" And she took all the books in her hand. So I got His Grace Yamunapati Prabhu. He gives us paper bags to give to people. So I put the books in this bag. And then they shook my hand. And then the little girl, without asking, she came to my side and she hugged me. This little girl is a very special soul, you know. So the question is, we're busy, but what are we busy with, right? And then people tell me this very famous mantra, "I have no time," right? Do you like to read? I don't have time. Do you like books on meditation? I don't have time. Do you like knowledge and wisdom? I don't have time. So foolishly they say this, but it's not really a question of time, but it's a question of priorities. You know, what do we prioritize our life with? And then there's this term, rat race. Have you guys heard of this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I heard that its origin is from Europe. And it's a game where they would have a rotating wheel. And they would have maybe 3 or 4 rats on this wheel. And so the wheel would spin one direction. And then the rats, they would run the opposite. But since the rats, they're moving so fast, and sometimes they slip and they fall down. And they end up in the same place. So similarly, a lot of people are very busy, but they're going nowhere, right? I stopped this couple yesterday. I said, "Excuse me, what are you guys studying?" I said, "I want to become a doctor." And another one was, "I want to be a lawyer." I said, "Wow, you guys are very, very brilliant people." I said, these books are for you." So I gave them a stack of books, and they said, "Please explain, what are these books about?" And I told them, "Well, you want to be a doctor, you want to help people." And I told the girl, I said, "You want to be a lawyer, so you should understand the laws of this world." And then they said, "That makes sense." So I was explaining to them how these books, they help us to become free from stress. And then I asked them this other question, "Have you heard of stress?" And both of them laughed like crazy. You know, school, exams, life is full of stress. So I told them also that I reminded them of this rat race. And then they said, "We want to get off this wheel." They put 2 and 2 together. So I gave them the books. They asked me how much for the donations. And I said, if you're a lawyer and if you're a doctor, you give $100. And each of them gave $50. Yeah. So sometimes you have to, Krishna will inspire us to say the right things. And so, a lot of people, they're trying to be successful in this material world, but it's actually pointless. It's an endless endeavor, and it's self-defeating. So I have an interesting question for you guys. If I have a bank, maybe you've heard this already. If I have a bank, right, and I tell you, please invest all your money into this bank, all your hard-earned money in this bank. But then I tell you that one day it's going to collapse one day. For sure, it's going to collapse. And you're going to lose all of your money. Would you still invest in this bank? No. It's so ridiculous, right? Sometimes you don't even want to answer. You're just like, but this is what we're doing. And this bank represents this body, right? People they put so much time in this body, making it look nice. I was telling this devotee, imagine paying a doctor to cut open your face, implants and Botox and this and that. Yeah. So that's what people are doing. They're trying to take care of this body, but one day it's going to collapse, right? There was this elderly couple again, and I asked him, "Excuse me, sir, you look very intelligent. I need a nice answer." So they came to my table, and I said, "What happens when we die?" And this old man, he said, "That's too deep," and they walked away. So death is actually very. It's an interesting subject. Some people shy away from it, and some people want to learn more about it. Okay, so I'll tell a few stories here. There was a king, and this king, he was diagnosed with a very terminal illness, and he has to go towards that fateful journey called death. And this king, he was thinking, I don't want to go alone. I have 4 queens with me, right? So he asked the 4th queen, "I'm going to go on this journey. Would you be able to go with me?" And this queen, she said no, and she walked up. And then he said, "I invested so much time into this queen, and look how she treats me." So she said, "Never mind, I have 3 other queens." So he called the 3rd queen. And then this queen, she was very beautiful. Wherever the king went, he would try to show her off. She belongs to me, like that. So the king asked his queen, "I'm going to go on this journey. Would you like to accompany me?" And this queen, she said no. But not only that, but after you die, I'm going to marry someone else. So this king, imagine his heart is broken. And then this queen, she says something that steps on his heart, his broken heart. So he calls the 3rd queen, 2nd queen, sorry. And this queen, every time the king needed some advice or some confidential meeting, this queen would be there for him. And so this king said, "Would you like to go with me on this journey? I don't want to go by myself." And this queen, she said, "I would love to, king, but I can only accompany you in the funeral pyre. That's how far I can go." So the king was very devastated. The 3 queens, they didn't want to go with them. And then this last queen, she was very malnourished. She was very skinny. She hasn't eaten. The king doesn't pay any attention to this queen. And without even asking, this queen appeared. And then this queen said, "King, I'll go with you." And then the king was surprised, And then the king realized, instead of spending my time on these other 3 queens, I should have focused on this queen. So when I heard this story, I was really puzzled, What do these queens represent? So the 4th queen, this queen, the king spent whatever this queen needed. He made sure that she had everything that she wanted, everything. And not only that, but she had endless demands. Do we know some ladies like that? Just kidding. But
ladies know some men like it.
exactly, men and women. So this queen represents the body, right? Endless demands. When the body becomes cold, we put on a sweater. When it's too warm, we take it off. When there's an itch, we scratch it, right? So this queen represents the body. The first thing is that we don't take our body in the next life, no matter what. And then the third queen, the one that said, I'm going to leave you and marry someone else, this represents our wealth, right? And this king wanted to show everybody, the world, this queen, right? And people, they have this tendency. I want to show off what car I drive. I want to show off my bank account. When I deposit the Sankirtan account at the Chase here, people leave their little, what do they call it, transaction notes, whatever. And people like to show how much they have in their accounts, you know. Sometimes like thousands and sometimes like $40. So anyway, this third queen represents wealth. We can't also take our wealth. We can't take our house. We can't take anything with us. And then the second queen represents our family and friends. Our friends and family, they're well-wishers, right? They want us to do well, but they can't go with us at the time of death. And then this first queen, she represents Dharma. See? And then the king represents the Atma, or the soul. And sometimes we neglect our Dharma. You know, and in English, sometimes Dharma can be defined as religion. But Dharma is actually very dynamic. It depends on the context. But ultimately, Atma means the soul. So this queen, although she was neglected, she never left the king. So Dharma never leaves the soul, right? And then it's described that Krishna is the source of this soul. So this eternal loving relationship with Krishna, this Dharma, we can always perform it, right? Sometimes we fall away, sometimes we're too busy, but we can always perform some devotional service to Krishna. And then this king started spending time with this first queen, you know. And then they lived happily ever after. Yeah. So I'll tell some quick Sankirtan stories.
Where did that story come from?
I heard it in a class. Yeah. Sorry. So there was this Mataji yesterday. She came to my table. She seemed very fired up, you know. And then she said, "Where is Krishna?" And I said, "Wow, she knows about Krishna." And I said, "Krishna is in your heart." And then she said, "No, no, Krishna is not in my heart." As soon as she said that, I said, "Oh man, you know." She said, "Do you know who Jesus is?" And I said, "Yes, I know who Jesus is." And then she said, "See, Jesus doesn't force himself in your heart, you know." And I said, "Well, you don't know who Krishna is, you know." I said, "Krishna is even within the atom, you know." And I told her that the soul is part and parcel of Krishna, but she refused to believe that. She doesn't know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nichadas, that the living entity, by constitutional position, is an eternal servant of Krishna. So, anyway, I told this Mataji, I said, "Thank you for your time. I have a lot of books to distribute, you know. I wish I could speak to you more." And then she walked away kind of angrily, you know. But we don't waste time. And then there was this Mataji and her son. They were from Arizona. And then I told her that a person is known by the company they keep. And then she told the story of how she was on a plane. She was in the middle of the scene, and there was two men on the left and right side of her. She said one man was reading silently on his tablet, and then the other man was aimlessly scrolling on his tablet. And then he said he was looking at women, he was looking at stories, he was also looking at other people's posts, you know. And she can tell that the man's mind was just everywhere, you know. It reflects that person. And then she said, "If I could choose between these two, I would choose the one that's reading." I said, "Good for you." I said, "I want to give you these books." So she asked me, "What are these books on?" And I said, "Has your mind ever given you trouble?" And she started laughing. And she said, "My mind is my worst enemy." So I showed her the text in the Bhagavad Gita. And then she said, what book is this? And I said, it's called the Bhagavad Gita. It was spoken 5,000 years ago. And she was so impressed by the knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. And then she looked at her son, and the son seemed kind of inattentive. And then she said, do you have something for my son? And I said, I have everything. So I gave the boy Hiding in Unnatural Happiness. I said, this book will save you so much trouble, so much useless endeavor to try to find happiness. And then he took the book and he read one page, and he said, Mom, I want to get this book. And then that page, it was talking about how people want freedom, but we're not free from the demands of the mind, you know. And then so I said, do you like cooking? So I offered her a cookbook. Next thing you know, she has a whole stack of books, you know. And then she said, thank you for being here. How much can I purchase these books for? I said, we just asked for a donation, whatever you can give from the heart. She gave $100. This Mataji, she wanted to take a picture with me and her son. So we took a picture, you know. And I said, I told the son, hold these books up. So he was holding the books like this, and then I had my hands folded. And then the mother took the picture. And a passerby, there was a person walking, and I said, excuse me, can you take our picture? And the mother, she was very grateful. She said, I wanted to be in the picture, you know, you read my mind. So this person took our picture, and then at the end, they gave me a very, very wonderful exchange, you know. These exchanges that we have while book distributing, it's you can't find it anywhere. So I'll tell a few more. There was this Korean lady, Korean girl. She was wearing a Bob Marley shirt. I said, I like your shirt, miss. And she said, really? She said, I just came back from Jamaica. I said, here, let me give you these books. So she came to my table, and I said, do you speak another language besides English? And she said, Korean. And so I said, guess what? And I reached in my book box. I gave her 2 books. I said, what does this mean? And she said, the perfection of yoga. And I gave her another book. What does this mean? She said, perfect questions, perfect answers. And then she said, I can't believe you have Korean books. I said, believe it or not, we also have books in Braille. And she was so happy. So this girl, I was telling her how these books, I can create a real one world, one love. You know, I was trying to relate to Bob Marley.
Minus the reaper.
Yeah. So I said, why are you here in San Diego? And she said, I've been traveling. I quit my job. And I said, what did you do? She said, I don't want to talk about it. I was unhappy, you know. So I said, well, you came to the right person, you know. So I gave her another book, Hiding in Unnatural Happiness. And then she said, instead of searching for happiness, why don't you look within? And then she really appreciated that statement. She said, how much can I give you for the books? And I said, you can give whatever you can from the heart. So she reached in and she gave $20. And these Korean books, I told her, not many people, especially Asians, come to my table. So I told her, you're a very special soul. She took the books and then she went on her way. There was a young boy, he had what is it called, Modelo? It's like a beer company. So I said, can I tell you a joke? So he was with his friend. I said, you know, our spiritual teacher, he was offered beer for the first time. And I told them, you know what he said? They said, what? I said, it smells like horse urine. So why would I drink this, you know? And then the boy that wasn't wearing the shirt, he told his friend, yeah, why are you drinking? You know, that's bad for you. So I gave him a few books and I said, you know, you guys should read these books. You guys look very intelligent. So they said, how much for the books we have to go? I said, you can give whatever you can. And each of them gave $10. So I gave the other person, I said, here, you take this book, The Science of Self-Realization. I said, this book will help you to understand who you are in this world. And then so they took the books and they went away. So one last thing. There was Bhakti Nelson and I, we were at the table, and there was this Mataji. She was saying, "Oh, I do transcendental meditation mantra." And I said, "That's what we have also." And then she said, "Oh, you have a mantra?" And I said, "We have the Maha mantra." I said, "The greatest mantra." And then she said, "You can't tell me, right?" And I said, "Why?" So apparently she was given a mantra. She bought this mantra. So we asked her, "How much did you buy this mantra for?" How much did she buy it for, Nelson? $1,500. Yeah, for a mantra. And we said, "What is that mantra?" And she couldn't reveal it. I was thinking, I told her, you're being cheated, you know. So anyway, yeah. And I said, we're giving this mantra for free. It's 16 words, 32 syllables, you know. And then so, anyway, long story short, there's people out there that are looking for answers. They're looking for devotees. And, you know, sometimes we're very mental about going out, you know. But Srila Prabhupada, he was the first book distributor. I'm reading the Prabhupada Leela Amrita right now, and it's just amazing, you know. All by himself, raising the money to buy paper for his 4-page Back to Godhead magazine. And he said that he admitted that 80% of the people that he met while selling Back to Godhead were atheists. Yeah, in India. You know, what to speak of here in the U.S., you know. But a lot of people, they're now being interested, they're now getting into yoga, meditation, mantra. They're also wanting to understand karma, reincarnation. They're searching for knowledge. They're searching for Krishna. Okay, that's all I have. Is there any questions or comments?
I got a question in the comment.
Yes, Mark.
Oh, thanks. Just as a sidelight, there were a group of Aniruddha Prabhu, who's the temple president in Melbourne, and used to be a TMer, so he knew what to ask them. There was a number of them coming, and they were getting interested in Krishna consciousness. And so a little open that maybe, you know, he got them to reveal their mantra. There were 7 of them. 6 had the exact same mantra. They only use about 8 different syllables. They're just syllables. They're what do you call it? Bija mantras. They're just like Klim or this or that, you know. They're not even that, because Klim designates Krishna. So it's just a total scam. And most of them get the same mantra. And if they start sharing it, they'll all realize, hey, there's only 8, you know. So it's just an unbelievable ripoff. I imagine they get, anyway, that's another story. So but my question was this. My question was, okay, you gave the example of you're putting your money in the bank all of your life, and then, you know, the bank's going to collapse. Would you do that? Well, you know, if I was making interest and living off it, you know I'm going to die. It's inevitable. Everybody's going to die. Does that mean I just sit around and quake and shiver? Yeah, I got a 60-year run or an 80-year run or whatever it is, and I had some fun on the way. I got to die. I don't focus on it. I'm not, I don't think about it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I don't waste my time on something I can't change. I spend my time on making this life enjoyable because I can change this. But the inevitable that I drop dead, I can't change. So I'm right not to be thinking about it.
Okay.
And you're wasting your time worrying about what's inevitable.
That's true. Everyone has free will, you know. You can believe this, you can believe that, you can do this with your time, you can do that. But a thoughtful person...
I don't worry about what I can't change. I worry about what I can change.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that in this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution. So I would offer that maybe look into this Bhagavad Gita, you know. There's a lot of things that we don't know. And, someone with intelligence, they don't look towards temporary happiness. They look for eternal happiness, spiritual happiness. So that's what I would say.
I would add that you're assuming that death is the end.
No.
Yeah, you're going to go on, and everything you do, as you sow, so shall you reap. And is mature, like it said in the verse here, the maturity of time. Hey, everything you're doing now has a reaction. You're creating your future right now. You want to change something, change what you do now. That'll change your future.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, I would also mention, like you said, karma, reactions. And in the verse you were saying how people that want to try to do whatever they like, but that's not how this world works, Yes, Travita Prabhu?
Yeah. So the waking up, what is birth? Death is just sleeping for 9 months. That's what you said. No.
And even then, it's only 7 months.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. This comes from Prabhupada, which comes from the teachings of Lord Kapila. Is that death simply means sleeping for 7 months. Those are 7 lunar months. Probably that's why you can get born after 10 months, 10 lunar months. So the actual quote, if you want to convert it to regular months that people know about here, that death means sleeping for 6 in the 3rd month, so 6.5 months. And waking up in the womb. That's the actual quote. It didn't come from me. It didn't come from Prabhupada. It came from Lord Kapila.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else?
An appreciation.
Yes, Maitreya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So your Sankirtan stories have me laughing and crying. I just got back from a walk. You're a lawyer and a doctor, so you should give $100. That's fantastic. Best line ever. And anyway, the exchange is just absolutely nectar. Thank you so much for sharing those. I really enjoyed the exchange between you and Bhajan Ryan Maharaj about the bank analogy. It's like how in sales they teach you how to overcome objections. So his objection was really good. That was a very smart one, and I thought you countered it well. So anyway, thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maitreya Prabhu. Okay. Thank you for your...
Just know that Maitreya was a devotee for many, many years. Grew up a pampered boy in La Jolla and woke up. Did book distribution for years.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.